Okay, so we got our door tops chopped on our inner structures, on the inner door panels, and now we're going to build our X-braces that we're going to put in the door. And the X-braces, basically, it captures this area here down to that hinge and to the and forward. So what we have is basically this is a three-sided box. Your door inner frame. You got this side of the box, this side of the box, and this side of the box. And so it's an open-sided box. There's nothing here tying it together. And the reason I came up with the X-braces was I had a 34 3-window we worked on years ago, and the door sagged. Every time you open the door, it would sag. And so, okay, I'm thinking, all right, so I need to brace up the door posts, the wooden door posts. So put metal on the back side, bolted the hinge back on, and it would still drop down. Okay, so then I put a brace from the hinge back down to the wheel well inside of tubing, and open the door, and it still dropped down. So I'm like, okay, I've got everything tight, but the door is still sagging. What's the problem? So days and days back and forth fucking with stuff, trying to figure out why the door was sagging. So I was inside the car, and I just happened to open the door, and I was opening it, I was watching it, and I saw the door skin slip on the inner frame. Then I realized what was going on. The factory spot welds on the door skin had came loose. Therefore, is allowing it to slip inside the pinch weld. The way it's pinched over is allowing it to slip. So that told me that Ford had used the outer skin as part of a structural part of the door to close the box. So what we wound up doing on the next car was I developed these X-braces that tied all this together without the skin. So the door becomes a complete box. The door frame becomes a complete box without the skin. And therefore the skin is just along for the ride. So once these X-braces are in and the door's adjusted and everything, the thing opens and closes and sounds like a bank vault. It just click, click, because it gets rid of all this flex. I mean, you can see how much flex there is. And once that X-brace is in there, it won't flex like this. And then the skin just goes along for the ride. So that was the idea behind the X-braces. Just to close the box, become the fourth side of the box. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So the thing developed into this sheet metal X. I have these laser cut out, and then I break this corner on the brake, and then this is a hammer form. And originally, what I used to do was we would cold form these over this piece of half-inch plate steel. But like everything develops, and so it takes a long time to cold form all these tight radiuses. So, I've just kind of over the years learned to pick and choose my battles. And so what I do now is we're going to use a torch to heat up all these tight corners so the metal will flow over real easy. And of course this piece of wood's going to burn. Right now I've got my laser guy cutting me out another one of these out of half-inch steel. So going forward, we won't be burning up the hammer form. It's not the prettiest way. It's kind of a real down and dirty way to do it, but the results are more than good for what we're doing. You gotta kind of pick and choose your battles. Not every, some parts you got to finesse, and no hammer marks, no tool marks, and all that kind of stuff. But this isn't one of those things. This is a inner door brace, a structure on the inside of the door. Once the door skin's on, you'll never see it again. It's still going to turn out really, really nice, but it's not, I'm not taking that time to hand dolly every piece in and try not to get any tool marks or anything like that in it. We're going to heat this up, and it's going to be down and dirty, and we're going to get it on and get it over with. so we can move on to the next thing. The only drawback to this X-brace on the inside of the door is the only way you can install them is to have the door skin off. And once we get them made and we install them on the car, you'll be able to see how much stronger the door becomes, and it's really a pretty cool thing. So I'll just bolt this thing together, and then we're going to put it in a vise and get out the torch and hammer and just start whaling. Now we got our piece made. We got it taken out of the buck or off the hammer form, whatever you want to call it. And see, it's pretty nice. Looks good, nice and smooth. So I've got a die for the pull max, and we're going to run it through the pull max, and we're going to put a bead on this outside edges, around through here, and in the middle. And this bead will give it, not only will it straighten up any of the edges and make everything the same height around the outside perimeter of the openings, but it'll also make it look good and give it a little bit more strength. So we're going to go to the pull max. All right, so now we ran it through the pull max, and you can see we got this nice bead around there. Makes it really nice, really strong. Leveled everything out, looks great. So the next thing we'll do is I'm going to send these inner door frames out and get them blasted so we can get rid of all the rust. And then right now the X-brace is obviously flat, and we're going to curve it to allow for a little bit of for the glass clearance, and it'll hug closer to the door skin. And once that's done, as you can see, it's going to fit in here, something like this. You can see being flat, it would interfere with the window right now. So we'll put a little bit of curve in it. So it'll connect here and here and here, and effectively it'll close our box up that we were talking about earlier. So once this is in there, this door becomes unbelievably rigid, and the skin then just goes along for the ride and is not a structural part of the door anymore. And also we're going to address the hinges. The hinges on these cars are basically two pieces of 1/4 inch plate that are just sticking out there like that, and plate is very flexible. So we're going to make the bottom hinge mimic the top hinge. We're going to put a web strut gusset right here on both sides, so it really makes it look really sleek. And then the inner part of the hinge will also get a brace on it. So not only will the hinges be gusseted and beefed up, the bottom hinge, we'll have the door brace in there, and this door won't ever sag or droop or anything again. Just open and close perfectly each time.